Hey,
Hello.
hi Harper.
How
I'm
are you?
I am so excited. I am. Thank you so much. I know you're busy and
Oh, good.
being fabulous and everything, so I appreciate it. I'm
I'm
away.
gonna I'm gonna change my internet connection, so it
Go
might
ahead.
log
Go
me
ahead.
out.
We have some time because I have to share it to our preview page too before we get started. So go ahead.
Okay.
And I have a dog that's limping and I don't know what happened. Poor baby. Okay, go ahead. Andy. Let me get it moving. Come on. Let's see. Come.
Okay, that should hopefully be better.
Okay. We'll wait for Kenneth. We're ready to go live on our Chronicles Facebook page. So,
Great.
okay. You've been good?
Yeah,
Good.
we're back to work in obviously a different capacity, but
Yeah.
we finished on Friday. We wrapped our first film that will go out, which is very, very exciting. So we're excited to share that. So yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Well, we'll talk all about that. And once we go live, we'll just wait. Oh, oh, I think Kenneth is there. He's connecting. And I saw you walked in his runway show. I was looking through the photos. I'm like, there goes Harper. Oh yeah. Add model to your repertoire.
No. That day was really fun, but when I walked in, it was good they knew that I was a dancer because I was looking up at these like 6 foot tall glamazons and I was like, hi.
uh,
Hi guys.
hey, wait, hold up. Hold up. You cut your hair.
I did. It was just time for something new.
Oh wow, fantastic. I love it. Okay, so let me make sure we're live on our Facebook page.
Okay, let's see. What's going on? H to the P to the W.
Just another day in Houston.
Always good to see you. Always good to see you, my man.
All right, hold on. Let me do this. Okay. And
I feel like we're all in the yellow tones. Like Joey,
we?
your
my pillows.
is it a mirror or a piece of art?
There is a mirror. Right behind me. Yeah.
The yellow fall on the corner.
Yeah,
I
there you go.
know. It's in the air. It's in the atmosphere.
It is. Okay, we are live on our Chronicle Facebook page, preview page, and welcome everyone. My name is Joy Sewing. I am with the Houston Chronicle, and this is the Joy Hour where I talk to people whom I've interviewed and had the pleasure of hearing their stories and writing about their stories. And I have two of my favorite guys here today. I have Harper Watters from the Houston Ballet soloist, social media phenom, who can teach us all about how to dance in heels. And then we have fashion designer from H-Town, Kenneth Nicholson. He was recently nominated by the CFDA for being an emerging designer. And so we're so excited and happy for him. I got a chance to write about him, about a couple years ago. So welcome. How are you all doing?
Good.
Okay.
Good. Yeah.
All right, so Harper, let's talk. You said you were moving back. You're back in rehearsals and everything. So tell me, what are you doing with the Houston Ballet?
Well, I'm really thankful to be back to work and to be able to say that and to say that I'm working again. Especially the arts was so impacted by what's going on right now. So to have, we're paired with Houston Methodist, and they've given us incredible safety precautions and safety measures that allow us to stop dancing in my kitchen and to get back into a space and move. And there are 65 of us in the company, but they've divided us up into, very small cohorts with masked classes, and they give time for air filtration, and we get tested, and it's just, it's crazy the parameters that we're in, but it's so necessary. And we actually just finished a film that was filmed outside at some very iconic Houston locations.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and we're dancing in that. And so we're excited to be creating. I think that that is what I missed most about this time, was not being able to create like I wanted to. And so to be moving and kicking and splitting and twirling and doing that all again.
I love it. And Kenneth, you have been creating during this time as well. And I want to mention that the reason why I actually have you two together is because you all have collaborated in a way Harper, you have worn many of Kenneth's looks. And actually, I believe your Instagram is what introduced me to Kenneth. And I reached out to him, and that's why I wanted to do something, a great story on him. So that's why I have them. They are connected through fashion and style and creativity. So Kenneth, tell me, what have you been doing during this time?
Well, I'm always thinking about something. I'm like always creating. And so most recently, we wrapped on our short film, which was a really cool thing. And we debuted it for New York Fashion Week, which was on September 15th. So that was like just a really fun and exciting project. Harper and I got a chance to collaborate on that piece as well. But it was just something that I always wanted to do. And I think one of the silver linings with COVID was really sort of thrusting me into just allowing myself to do something such as filmmaking, which is something that I totally wanted to do, but I just kept procrastinating. And so like having this time to sort of sit still and evaluate, it was just the prime opportunity to do it. So something, that I wanted to do for a while. So it was great.
Tell me the name of your film, and it's more than just a fashion film. And you touch on some really key ideas in the film. Talk about it a little bit.
So the name of the film is Grasp. You know, so I wanted to touch on like just a lot of things that were sort of like applicable to my own personal experience of, you know, growing up a Black male, being an artist. So in the film, we kind of speak to toxic masculinity, you know, and the consequence of that if it's not, you know, if you don't have like someone speaking and affirming you in your life. There's another theme of the film is just sort of holding on and literally grasping onto that precious thing that belongs to you. You know, I feel like clarity is one of youth's many gifts. And so I think when we're kids and we're growing up and we, you know, we want to tame the world and just like live out our biggest dreams. But sometimes, you know, life has a way of kind of beating it out of you, or people come into your life that don't necessarily affirm you, or they actively discourage you from pursuing that because they feel like, you know, maybe they can't achieve something. And so the lead character sort of goes through this day sort of seeing and interrupting people losing their precious item and restores them. So yeah, it's a narrative that I feel like is really impactful, and we've gotten a lot of great feedback from it. So I was just really happy to participate in that sort of storytelling and put something beautiful out in the world.
Well, you know, what I also think is great is that both of you touch on this issue, this thing we're having many conversations about, and it's about gender and sexuality and different things about what is female and what is male. And Kenneth, your collections, I think what you say, it's gender bending, and just really kind of push the envelope that, you know, you don't have to be a female to wear ruffles. You can be a man to wear ruffles and things like that. Can you talk to me a little bit about your whole perspective with your collections?
Yeah, so, you know, I feel like I enter into my design process somewhat like a thesis statement. And so I feel like a lot of the things that I do are, they have like empirical evidence and backing. And so like when I design and I might, you know, incorporate something like, you know, lace or ruffles or, you know, something, it's not necessarily that I'm trying to, I guess, quote unquote, take from sort of like the feminine lexicon of what we think clothing is, but I'm really trying to explore within the context of masculinity, because I feel like that the idea of masculinity has been so narrowed, you know, for a really long time. And so I feel like what I endeavor to do is to really have a conversation about masculinity and this sort of like full expansion of what that encompasses. And so for me, you know, I'm saying that men can emote, and that doesn't make them less masculine. And I'm saying that men can wear ruffles, and that doesn't make them less masculine. I'm saying there's already a space within masculinity that sort of allows for this sort of emotive experience, whether it's in clothes, lifestyle, you know, relationships. And so for me, it's sort of like a reclaiming of the fullness of masculinity. And I feel like, you know, when I crossed Harper's paths, gosh, like it feels like maybe 3 years ago, but I felt like the work that he was doing was just, it really did speak to that. He is such a great dancer. Like, I mean, just like his presence, it's just so powerful. And I just felt like it was so natural, and it felt like a very organic pairing to work with him. So he's a homie.
So hey, Harper, so how did you all connect, and how, and what was it about Kenneth's clothes and artistry through fashion that really spoke to you?
You know, when I first saw his work, I think at the time in my career at Houston Ballet, I was really starting to discover the need to embrace who I was fully so that my craft could be its best. You know, when I joined the company, I really thought that I had to emulate the dancers that I saw at the top that were successful, and I thought that I had to fit the mold. And it's really interesting because I feel like there's this stereotype about every male dancer is gay or feminine. But when you think about it, you know, the characters in these classics are always heterosexual relationships, male to female. And that's a real struggle to think that, how am I going to do this? How can I connect? These parts aren't here for people like me. And so I really struggled with that. But, you know, I found social media. I found people like Kenneth who inspired me. I found, I had social media. It was a powerful tool of discovery. And I relied on that and I leaned into that. And when I found the comfort and confidence in expressing myself off stage, I was able to do it on stage. And there's one of my friends, his name is Parker Kithill, and you know, he's someone who I looked towards for fashion, and I'm pretty sure I saw one of Kenneth's designs come across his page. And at the time, Houston Ballet has its annual ball where it's like our one time as dancers to like get glam, glam, glam. And I was like, I need to turn a look. Like I need to turn a look. Like it's
turn a look. I love that. Turn a look.
Like I was like, I need to, I don't know, it kind of felt like a coronation. Like I was like stepping into who I was, like, and I knew the look I wanted, which is what the look I ended up with. But, you know, playing dress up is also really, really fun in his clothes. So we tried on a few looks, but I ended up with this turquoise, mint green crushed velvet suit.
It was phenomenal. I have to say, it was absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, best dressed of the evening. Like
no, of the century. I mean, that was just like, wow.
No questions. But, you know, and so, but there is something to say about putting on a garment like that and knowing and feeling what it does to your, you know, your aura and your being. And I was like looking for shoes, and I was like, I need to find something that elevates me, that gives me like height, you know. There was something, and it was like a flat dress shoe just wasn't gonna cut it. And so like you have to like meet the fashion. And the second I put it on, I wanted more, you know. And so, but leaning into that and as a way of expression, and it was more than just clothing. And so that's what I feel like when I connected with Kenneth, and I was like, I need more of that, you know. So
well, you know, when we did the the style shoot with you, Harper, at the Contemporary Arts Museum here in Houston, and I had gone to pick up Kenneth's pieces, and they were pretty weighty. And then when I pulled them out, and there was one that in particular, and Kenneth, I don't remember the name of it, but it was almost like a vest that had all these layers of crystals and beads, and it was pretty heavy. Right. And when you put it on, it was almost like an armor. It was really like you were putting on an armor for style battle or something.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think again that sort of like speaks to this notion of really what kind of what Harper was saying, how he was looking for the shoe to go with the look, but he wanted to feel a particular way. He wanted to be lifted and really meet the clothing. And so I feel like the work really is pulling all of these sort of like design codes and notions and pieces of conversation that are happening in public spaces. And that's really what it's about. It's about taking something that feels so delicate and so just just so beautiful, but making it sort of evoke a certain very, very, I guess, yeah, a very like armoredness, if that's a word, a very like masculine, beautiful thing. And I think it's just so incredible. I get so moved, when I hear the work resonating with people, and it's just great. Yeah, it's really great. It's, for me, it really does sort of like hinge on like this spiritual like practice. I mean, when I'm in the atelier and I'm just like, creating, and then I'm thinking about one of the characters, I'm thinking about scripture, and one of the characters in the Bible is David. David is someone who we know that slew the giant, right? And so he carries this like smooth stone, which in a way kind of harkens back to the film Grass. But he carries this stone, but he's also, so he goes to war, he puts on armor, but he's also described as someone that writes poetry and that, you know, writes songs and that is really skillful at playing the harp. And so those are like, that is the sort of like world, and that is the sort of reclamation of masculinity that I feel, you know. You can be all these things. And it's truly liberating, you know.
So, and I want to talk about the CFDA nomination, but I want to ask Harper this. When did you decide I am going to run on a treadmill in 5-inch platform stilettos, pink?
Yeah.
And this is going, when did you decide to do that?
I wish I had some, you know, like crafted plan, like this was going to be my like claim to fame, and I had been planning on it for years, but it was very spur of the moment. And, you know, speaking sort of to discovering myself and, you know, finding this confidence, there was a few of my friends in the company, and we had always discussed a drag night. We were like, should we do it? Could we do it? Because there was this stigma, you know, that like, you can't lean into a feminine side. But I mean, I don't even really know what feminine means. I just think that femininity almost is a lazy way of being descriptive, because I think that there are emotions that are shared between, you know, people. So we were discussing a drag night, and my friend, he set it into motion and ordered these 6-inch pink heels from Amazon. And he surprised us for Christmas, and he gave it to us when we were like working out. And it was just like, could you imagine what would happen if we did it? And I remember like not having, I mean, I don't know what a lot and a little followers is, but I didn't have as many as I did now. And when I posted it, the response was like ridiculous. I was like, first of all, I was like, I'm a celebrity, like I've made it. But then I was like, calm down. I think what I discovered really with it, though, is that one, I was like, look what happens when you express yourself, or you show one side of yourself that you've been maybe sort of suppressing or thought that was too taboo. But also it really started my mentality of, you have an audience now, you have people looking at you. Now, what are you trying to say? Or what are you trying to do? And I started crafting my posts and what I shared, you know, because I had an audience. I would do a heel video that was authentically me, but then I would also post a ballet thing that was my classical ballet world and what I'm rehearsing and training. And I would build my, you know, my following, or my, you know, my community about that. So the heels are less about the actual heel and more about, it really is like almost like a super suit, like a super cape or something like that. It's just like it's an emotion, and something that I tap into to try to bring people into this mess, you know. So
well, here I have to say much respect, because I don't think I'm, after this pandemic, I'm not sure I want to put on another pair of heels ever in life. Okay, so I have much respect when I see you swirling about and jumping, and I'm like, I don't even know how you do that.
You know, I will say that I do miss the treadmill and the studios, because there was a level of privacy that I was able to comfortably do that. Now I've been sneaking out with a tripod into the streets of Houston. And let me tell you, I'm giving people a free show. If you see, please just clap, because I'm really going through it.
All right, okay, Kenneth, the CFDA nomination that came down, and you had done something with CFDA, I think last summer. Is that if I remember correctly?
Summer, it might have been about that, maybe 2 summers ago. It might have been, yeah.
And
yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, well, I was just wondering, when something like that happens, and I know it was a nomination, but it's like an Academy Award nomination. You still are nominated. You know, it's not like, you know, this is still a big deal.
Absolutely. Like was over the moon. Like, okay, so I found, like, so first of all, it was so crazy because you have to remember, okay, so I showed in New York in February, right? Harper flew out, we did the show. Showed in February, things shut down like immediately after, right? We were all going through it, you know, just like internationally, collectively, just sort of like trying to figure it out. Then I get this like notification on my phone, you know, one morning, and I'm like waking up, like one eye's open, and then I'm kind of like seeing, you know, like what is this? And so I'm trying to like decipher like what's going on here. And then yeah, and I was like, whoa, a nomination from the CFDA, and it was so amazing. And yeah, I mean, like, you have to remember, like, I grew up in Houston, Texas, you know, very sort of awkward, you know, just kind of not really having an easy time socially, always wanting to be, you know, this creative designer, and not really feeling like I was affirmed in that, you know, sometimes, and not really having the space to cultivate that all the time, you know. And so I would go to the Galleria and I would look at all of the, you know, designer boutiques and just really experience like that fashion up close, you know, how something was constructed, like the beautiful. Tom Ford was the head designer of Gucci at the time. And I remember going to that boutique quite often and just like looking at the hemlines and just being like, I mean, I would step into it like I was Aladdin going into the Cave of Wonders, like just like it was just so amazing. And you know, but yeah, I it's such an honor to be nominated. It sounds cliche, but I wouldn't trade anything. I wouldn't trade it for the world, you know, like it's amazing. And to hear, just to be a part of that, and I don't know, that sort of like affirmation from your peers, it's just so incredible. And yeah, I mean, I'm speechless. Yeah.
Have you met Tom Ford yet?
Not yet. Not yet.
All right. It's coming.
Yeah, it is.
It's coming. It's coming. And so, you know, you grew up in Houston, and tell me a little bit about your background. We're not going to dive all into it, but a little bit about growing up here and how you really kind of got into fashion and ended up you're in LA now.
Well, like I said, yeah, I grew up in Texas, and, you know, I feel like one of the earliest memories is like me experiencing fashion was definitely through magazines. I remember the first magazine actually wasn't Vogue, it was Cosmopolitan, and I just, which is a very adult magazine, but
it really is.
But I just remember like really being into that magazine for the photography, and like, you know, it appealed to me at that age because, you know, it was just like these, you know, fabulous women like in these great clothes, and they were talking about, you know, adult things, and I just felt it was, you know, it was a yearning, you know. I was crafting like this narrative in my head to like, you know, imagine myself just away in like some really cool like far off place. When I got into design, I used to like, you know, design around the house and do stuff like that, and, you know, I would make my own collections and then like have a fashion show in the park or at school for the talent show, just really sort of crafting, you know, my thing. And then I got a scholarship to go study in San Francisco shortly after high school. Did that for a little bit. And then I went back to Houston, you know, feeling like, oh, okay, I don't know where I'm gonna go. And, you know, I just, all this creative energy just pent up, like I have to get out. So I joined the Navy, you know, just like.
I forgot that. Yes, I remember. Yes, okay.
Your boy has lived a very big life, you know, like I am, yeah. And so I did that, you know, spent some time like overseas, like, you know, doing tours. And it was a really beautiful experience. I mean, the Navy is just one of those places that it's so regimented. And so I just feel like me with my sort of like creative mind, I'm like looking at all the symmetry and how people move in boot camp. And, you know, it's very cinematic, you know, like that's what I'm thinking about, like Stanley Kubrick or something. I don't know. But like, I did that. And then what else? So I did the Navy for a little bit, you know, and then I ended up in Los Angeles where I would intern for like a lot of, you know, just different designers. And I eventually went out, launched my line in 2016, and it's had a warm reception. So.
And Harper, how many times have you worn Kenneth's pieces?
I did that mint green look for the ballet ball. I did the Cam Houston shoot. Um,
You walked in his runway show.
In Fashion Week, and just recently during quarantine, the choreographer Trey McIntyre, who actually, we were about to debut the world premiere of his ballet the day that March 13th, when everything shut down here. He did a piece on me that was filmed socially distanced, and I wore a few looks from Kenneth in that as well.
Okay, fantastic. All right, and Harper, a little bit about your background. You're not from Houston, but I feel like you're honorary Houstonian. I do.
I think so too. I've been here long. I've been like 10 years.
10 years.
I moved here in 2009. So
and you were a baby. You moved here like a baby, right? Like you were like.
I know. Yeah. I was born in Atlanta, Georgia, but I was adopted. So I grew up in Dover, New Hampshire, only child. Both parents are Caucasian. My mom and dad were English teachers, English professors, college English professors. My dad is currently a state senator of New Hampshire, running for re-election. So if you're watching it in New Hampshire, vote. Vote anywhere.
Yeah.
But I think, they had an understanding of the arts and what that does for a child in the education and why it's important. And so when this was flamboyantly running around the house needing an outsource of energy, like they were like dance, which I loved because I was obsessed with music. I would sneak and watch TRL, and I would do like the Destiny's Child shirt bikinis for Survivor in my room. Very much that gig. I mean, I would make my dad build me a gymnastics balance beam because I saw Dominique Dawes do the Olympics. Like I was, but dance at that age really was a community searching hobby. It was less about, well, I didn't know you could have a career in dance. I didn't know that it was possible. I didn't think that you could make money, that you could call it your job. I thought it just was an after school thing. And so
a hobby.
A hobby. And the girls in dance were where I felt like I could turn the volume up on Harper to like full 10. I mean, like I went to private school where like hockey was, number one. And I would turn myself down to like a 2. But the powers that be, I came out when I was 14, and out of fear of going back to high school, I knew of a performing arts high school in outside of Boston, Massachusetts. And I forced my parents to audition that summer, and I got in because they needed boys, and I did 2 years there. And at the advice of my teachers, they sent me to a summer program here in Houston. And that was in the summer of 2009. And I was meant to just do 6 weeks. And I really had a real taste here in Houston was when I was like, oh, okay, this is dance. Yeah. This is the big leagues.
Yeah.
And it was a real, like, it is right in front of you, like it is at my fingertips. And I didn't think that was possible. I really thought I had to be Alvin Ailey contemporary modern, which is completely fine. Those are some amazing, amazing dancers. But not knowing that a career as a classical dancer was even possible, having that right so close, I was like, oh my gosh. And Lauren Anderson was a huge reason for bringing me in, and her experience. But I auditioned for the second company without telling my parents. And I got in, and full drama was like, you need to let me go, like, you need to let me be here, and this is my destiny. And so I joined Houston Ballet too, and then joined the main company in 2011, and got promoted to soloist in 2017. And along the way have done some fabulous things that I never would have dreamed of, when I joined in 2011. I thought I was just going to be doing Swan Lake and Romeo and Juliet, which is amazing, but
Yes.
walking New York Fashion Week, it was not, didn't
That's not,
register.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And not only New York Fashion Week, you have been with in campaigns for Ralph Lauren, right? For Pride Month, Abercrombie, is that right? I mean, Harper, you know, you add model to your repertoire, you know? I mean, you know, I think we're at a time now where social media is so powerful that those opportunities become available when I don't know if they did, you know, back in the day, where a professional dancer got to be in a fashion campaign or
Yeah.
a social cause, right?
Yeah. You know, I did something, one of my first partnerships I did as a social media person, which was less about my classical dancing and more, I think, about my presence online, was with Target. And they flew us out, a group of us out, and the CEO, I don't know if he's the CEO anymore, but one of the things he said was visibility is currency. And that's always stuck with me. Because what is it that you are trying to gain? You know, it's not necessarily a monetary one, but I just felt like I empower by example by being the dancer and person I am, for changing the landscape of what ballet is and can be. And I think that it's very easy to get wrapped up in the quantity of things, but the quality of things is so much more important. And he spoke about building a quality community, and that's what brands and people will want to tap into. And I've always kept that in the back of my head, and I think that's why it's led me to be able to work with brands that probably never would have crossed the path of classical ballet. And you know, to say that, you know, bringing the pink heels, I ran on that treadmill, and then I was able to run on a treadmill in a MAC Cosmetics lipstick campaign. You know, it was very full circle. And but I think it was because of amplifying my voice and who I represent and what I represent. So it's been very exciting, but I will tell you, I do it on the weekends. I fly back and I'm right in class at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday, starting the week. I mean, first is ballet, then is the glam ferocity of it all.
Right. I understand. I get it. Now, you know, I'm going to take a little bit more serious, come from a serious space right now. Given with everything that's happened, we have George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, all the things that are happening in this community, the racial strife. How do you all feel as Black men in this arena, in the creative space? Any kind of feeling about how that impacts you, what's happening in society impacts your world? Kenneth?
You know, yeah, it can be very challenging. You know, I think one of the things that that's not really recognized on a national scale, I mean, sure, within the community, is this idea that being a creative and someone that has to put out work publicly, you know, we don't really talk about like just the trauma that comes along with that. So it's not only, you know, the demands of you know, your job, but it's also managing your emotional life, because you're being constantly faced with just traumatic imagery and all, you know, the social unrest and, you know, the inequity. And so I think for me, I definitely have to make space to meditate, just to kind of keep, you know, balanced. But I do think it's interesting how that's not really necessarily talked about. You know, like as a Black creative, I mean, we have to keep up with the demands, but then like at what cost? You know, because we have to balance so much. You know.
Harper, any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I will say that it's been a really interesting 6 months. Just because I feel like the awakening of everything just revealed the depths of what's been happening, and it's inspiring to see so many people become motivated, but you quickly realize that the work in order to create change is a lot. And it's not overnight, and it's setbacks, and then the injustice continues. And it's like you feel like, or I personally felt like we would make a gain and then you'd step back, and then you have to, it's this ongoing process of uncertainty. But what I've been inspired by is my friends who have never tackled these topics before. And it's because they've never had to. They come from privilege, and when issues don't apply to you, why would you care about them? That type of mentality. And I've been so pleased to see my colleagues continue to educate themselves, because I just think that, or I told my friends, I consider a lot of people allies, but I think our biggest call to action as an ally is to continue learning, because knowledge is power. And the more knowledgeable we are about these things, the more you can easily confront, identify, and change, racism and justice. And so I've been happy to see my friends do that. Working for an arts organization particularly, I think it's interesting because we create in response to a lot of things. We create new work, and I'm excited to see what that looks like in the future for Black creatives, and creating dance, but also who are in the front of the studio teaching it, and what we're doing to foster the next generation of creatives. Because you just can't snap your fingers and have Black people there,
That is true.
Or diversity there. You just can't. It just doesn't work like that. And so I'm excited about those initiatives. I want to see what it is about the future. And I think that's what the work that, Kenneth and I do. It's that by being honest to ourselves and what we create, hopefully we're inspiring people who didn't think it was possible to, start sketching, start creating, start stretching, it's getting into saying something with who we are as Black people.
And I think it's so interesting that I've had people say to me, well, I didn't think that you experienced anything because basically you have a great life. And I've had a wonderful career. I live in a house and, have a yard, and I drive a nice car, things that people see and think, well, you can't possibly have anything like that. And I think the daily microaggressions that as Black people that you face, that those take a toll time and time again. And I think what we're seeing now is people are talking about it. And hopefully, I think people are listening,
Yeah.
So I think that's so important. Yeah. Okay. On a lighter note, what have you been doing for fun during this pandemic?
Well, when
besides eating, okay, because I know I've been enjoying that. Besides eating.
No, that's funny. I was actually going to say I've been perfecting my pancake game.
Okay.
But what for fun? Oh, I've been watching just a lot of movies, and that's always good. I recently laid hold of a tape player, so I'm
a tape player, like
a cassette tape,
a cassette tape. Okay, got it. Cassette.
So I've been just researching online, where I can buy, vintage tapes and
Are they still around? Can you buy vintage tapes? Do they work?
I've seen some on Etsy.
Etsy.
They're around, but I guess they're not an easy find. And I've I love music, so I've been just trying to find some new music. I'm really into, Conan Gray is someone that I've been listening to a lot lately, and Isaac Dunbar, and throwbacks like Alanis Morissette as well. So, music.
Okay. Harper, what have you been doing for fun besides doing your fabulous videos? What else are you doing for fun?
Well, I really wish that I learned a new language, or was able to say I watched a lot of movies. I would, but to be honest, TikTok, I have been bit by the bug.
Why?
like, you'll hear it now. I am guilty. I am addicted to TikTok. I think it is incredible. But I've been doing a lot of creative stuff like that, and trying to lean into what, if I get an idea, I want to make that happen. And at the start of quarantine, I created this thing of I called it I called it creative telephone, where I would ask a friend who was a choreographer to come up with a minute phrase of choreography, and then they would send it to me on video, and I would learn it, and then I would go out in Houston and film it a bunch of different ways.
Oh, okay.
And then I would send all those clips to a friend who was a video editor or a director, and we would create little snippet movies of work. And so it was a way to stay creative and thinking with my friends, and to stay connected, because I'm a very social person, and I kind of thrive off of the chatter of things, and just being here with my dog was not, wasn't giving me.
You didn't chatter with your dog?
I mean, she's a good listener, but when you got to spill the tea,
I think I think Harper's frozen a little bit. Uh-oh. Harper, you're frozen.
I have no gossip right here.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, no.
Okay. There you go. Okay, there you go. Oh, you're moving slow motion. Maybe we should all do. But you know what? That TikTok, they do that slow motion thing where everybody's moving slow motion. Yeah.
Okay. See, he's like the perfect spokesperson for TikTok. I love it.
Do you watch TikTok?
I just tried. I started.
Uh-oh.
Hello, am I here?
Yeah, yes. Okay, all right, there you go. There, we see him. There you go. Okay, we got it.
Am I back?
Yes, you're back.
It was the internet being like, stop talking about TikTok.
It was shutting you off. It was silencing TikTok.
We get it. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of that, and a lot of TV. And but I will say, just to be back dancing is good, because I was going sort of insane.
Well, that's why I started the Joy Hour, because I needed to see people, because part of my job is talking and interviewing, and I was just talking to people by the phone, which was great, but I need to see, I get more feedback, and I'm able to tell a better story when I actually see the person. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this. And plus it's just kind of fun. Yeah.
I started actually something. I joined the alumni association of my old high school to start doing like DEI work. And just hearing you say about conversations, having conversations with other people about these topics that have, been kind of permeating the past few months has been helpful for me to navigate my thoughts, and to learn, and to just gauge, and so I've enjoyed that. I've enjoyed doing that, and but I just thought I'd mention.
That's good. All right, and Kenneth, did you shed your locks during this time?
I cut them like maybe 2 or 3 days ago.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, it's relatively new. I just felt like it was time. Like, I just felt like an energy shift. And I just felt like it was time to step into something new. So I just went to the bathroom, and for a little while, I was rocking for about 5 minutes. I was rocking like a lock mullet. So
a lock mullet. Okay.
Yes, it's a look. For about 5 minutes, and and then I was like, no, just go ahead and just cut it off. So I went a little lighter, and yeah.
I think it looks great, and you have a nice head. At least you know what I mean.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I can maybe that can be my new side hustle, being a head model.
Exactly.
For the film, the lead actor of Grasp, he had blonde hair.
And
it's supposed to kind of be this, representation of him. And I was like, should I do it? I was like, here we go.
No,
But
what is that TikTok video? Girl, don't do it. Don't
Yeah.
do it. Girl, don't do it. Don't do it.
I know I could have done it. I could have done it.
I did it.
No, it's funny because well, during the making of that film, like people around me, they're just like, dude, like you're David, like you wrote this and you're David. And I don't know, it's so funny because I guess in a way, like I'm maybe slowly morphing into that character.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's funny.
All right, what's next on the horizon for you all? What are you working on? Harper. Oh, okay, Kenneth, go ahead.
I'm working, well, like I said, I'm always kind of thinking about something like a madman. I'm working on a new collection. I'm doing, working on some new content as well. We just kind of like, I guess, launched our like YouTube page, or it's open. So that's been, you know, a thing. And yeah.
I am trying to get my dancer technique back to where it was.
Did you feel like you lost some ground during this time?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Really?
Yeah, and you know, I think that it might not be aesthetically or like to the eye, but there was a huge frustration getting back into the studio of knowing what I used to be able to do and then trying it and like with all my might it not being able to happen, and that just takes time. And as a dancer and probably a Capricorn, I'm so impatient.
Capricorn, go ahead.
We're the best. We're the best.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think for the past few months before I got into the studio again, I was like, what can I do with this person? What can I do with that person? Like, how do I make the best of this? But now I have my blinders on and I'm like, what Pilates classes, what workout, how many times can I get into the studio just to kind of, it's like dancing was my self-care and I didn't realize until it was taken away how much it really dictated my everyday. And so it's great to have that back. I'm looking forward to just being a dancer.
Well, you know what, so it looks like we're going to be in this pandemic for a lot longer than we had originally thought. I think we thought the shutdown was going to be a couple of weeks and we'd be back up and everything would be golden, but it's not. So, and it looks like this, we might be talking about maybe next fall, you know. So, you know, what do you all think about as we move into the holidays and into another, you know, 2022? I can't believe I'm saying that. What life is going to look like for you as creative people?
For me, you know, I've just been like using the creative energy just to sort of like move forward and continue like a forward vision, you know, with my craft. And so I think whether, you know, it's lifted in 21 or 22, I think for me right now, it's just harnessing this energy and really like using this time to reflect and really put forth a proposition with my work that sort of like brings in a new way of being in terms of dressing and you know, and just continuing to push that narrative forward.
Yeah, I think that, you know, with not being able to have large gatherings, it really affects the dance world. And particularly with, you know, before COVID, dance wasn't as appreciated as as other forms of athletics, and but it will be different. It already is different. We're making films, and you know, Nutcracker is canceled, but like any creative, we just keep creating, and I'm excited to see how people adapt and what can be created from this moment, like Kenneth was saying. But I think that what I would challenge people to do is when they turned on Netflix and when they watched their movies and the TV shows, that is art. And that's what people turned to during quarantine. And ballet and dance is, you know, a form of that. And so I would hope that people support the arts and because it's so valuable. And especially for, you know, kids right now who are having to, their education is different right now. You know, they need the arts as well. So to keep it around for them in ways to express. And so, but yeah, you know, it's different. It's going to be
Yeah,
different. You know, I
definitely.
think sometimes different can be good.
Yeah, you know, sometimes you know, what I have learned is that it's shaken us up a little bit. You know, we were been in a rhythm, and sometimes you need a little, you know, yeah, yes, to, you know, to just look at the world a different way and maybe bring in a different level of creativity and that kind of thing. I have a question. So if you weren't doing what you're doing, Kenneth being a fashion designer and filmmaker and creative, and Harper being a ballet soloist, and what would you be doing? What would be your backup career?
Hmm. I enjoy cooking.
Uh-huh.
I enjoy just being in the kitchen, and I you know, I feel like it's a beautiful craft. You know, I mean, some of my when I have a chance to visit the museums in Houston, some of my favorite pieces are those still lifes with just like the beautiful like raw like cut meat or you know.
Really?
I mean, I find them quite beautiful, and I think for me, it's cooking and just that whole experience of, you know, preparing and plating things beautifully. I think I mean, it's all sort of like colors and textures, and you know, so yeah, I would.
Okay. Any recipe fail or cooking fail that you've had?
I'm sure a lot will. I did burn the toast this morning.
Burn toast. Okay.
But I mean, toast is a really easy thing to burn in my defense. But yeah, I made some anchovy toast, which is a really simple recipe. But yeah, my favorite thing around this time of year is butternut squash soup. I
Oh,
like
wow.
that. Yeah.
That sounds good.
And yeah, I feel like I have a good like kitchen game for
Okay.
sure.
All right. All right. Harper, backup career.
Okay, so more traditional, I think that I would probably do something in like communication or PR. I really like coming up with ideas to promote what people have to say or what their passions are. Like literally the other day, my two friends who live down the street who are in the ballet, I was like, let's just dress up and let's go out and take some pictures. And like I did the whole shoot for them, and you know, I love doing that. So maybe something with communications and PR. The more social media side of me, I always wanted a talk show. Like I just was like, give it to me. And you know, like, or like a TV show, reality TV show, like the way that like these housewives have jump started their career, I'm like, please come on. Like
I totally
Hollywood, Harper is calling.
I
Hollywood.
could totally see that, and I would be like the first guest on that show.
I mean, I don't know if it necessarily would be like Real Housewives, but I'm just like, there's obviously preconceived notions of like what it is to be a ballet dancer, what our world is, what our lives are. And it's like Black Swan over like dramatizes it, but I'm interested in I would be interested in showing that in some sort of TV capacity and look inside our world. I loved the documentary Cheer. I watched that, or the series
That was pretty, yeah.
over quarantine, and I thought that was done really well. So maybe something like that. TV personality.
Key personality. All right. So, what is a talent that you would love to have that you don't have? Like, I would love to be Whitney Houston and sing, but I can't carry a tune. But in my mind, I'm all Whitney. Okay. So.
Love.
You gotta think it first.
You know. So what's your talent that you would like to?
I would probably, yeah, I mean, I probably can't sing either. But I can make a joyful noise. So like I would probably
Not joyful.
You know, I just feel like what I imagine like a good singer to feel when they're singing is just like the ability to just like ride, you know, like the way it must feel so good, like being able to like stretch in a particular
Exactly.
way. You know, yeah, I think singing could be a really great thing, actually. Can't do it though. Can't
Uh-huh.
sing. Yeah.
I think I would love to learn another language. I
Okay.
really thought I was going to be able to at the start of quarantine, but I was like, I can't do it. I don't have the time, even though I had all the time. I think, yeah, so maybe learning another language, or I've always been intrigued with like skateboarding. And
Skateboarding?
yes, like I think it's so like, or there was this clip, I don't know if you saw it, this girl, she's like in this yellow outfit, beautiful brown skin girl. Sun is hitting her and she's just rollerblading and she's just like jamming
I think
out.
I've seen, yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted that
I
to
know.
be, but I put them on and I'm like I can't even.
But you know what? The way that she looks in that video is
Uh-huh.
sort of like the visual of what it must be like to be a good singer. Just to be able to sort of like, you know, flow with her.
Flow.
music. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, and I think that's maybe some of my dance training could help with, but I'm not good on wheels, so.
Oh, no, that's good. All right, so you both are in worlds where you probably can brush arms with celebrities or people in the fashion world, people in the dance world. Who would you like to meet and sit down and have dinner with? Famous
Easy.
person. Famous person.
Beyonce.
Yeah. Well, of course, Beyonce.
I just love, like, every time, like, sometimes, you know, when I'm perusing, I'm a fan of Harper's page, and so, like, I'm entertained, and he's always, like, giving it up for B, and I love it. So I just think it's so genuine. But, you know, I think, yes, of course, Beyonce, that goes without saying. Who would I like to meet? I don't know. Like, I would love to meet Tom Ford. I think he's amazing. I would love to, you know, have dinner with him and, you know, just discuss all things fashion.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, Brittany Cooper. I think she's also just like a brilliant person. Like, I love listening to her lectures.
Mhm.
And also Cornel West, Dr. Cornel West. I feel
Oh,
like
wow.
he's just
Mhm.
so amazing. I mean, yeah, I'm just like there, just like consuming all of these lectures. And
Mhm.
sometimes I even like have to pause it, rewind it to hear it a second time, just because it's so like heavy and dense. And yeah, it's great.
I would add Ava DuVernay. I
Oh,
think that
yes.
I the act of storytelling to me is
Mhm.
so interesting, and like sometimes I think it's easy to say I want to say this, but to have it resonate with people and to be
Sure.
impactful or to have meaning. And so anybody who's able to tell a story like that, and especially for the stories that she tells, I would love to tap into that.
She's fantastic. I've never met her, but I just, um, yeah, she's on my list too.
Mhm.
Fantastic. Um, what is something you can tell us about you that most people don't know?
Um,
I can be like really, really goofy.
Okay.
I feel like I'm hilarious to myself. You know, like I feel like I have such a great sense of humor. Yeah, I can be like a real nerdy cornball for sure.
Okay. Nerdy cornball. All right.
Yeah, but I mean, but I embrace the nerd, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, I just got to a point in my life where it was like, you know, gosh, I'm so socially awkward and blah 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 blah. So I just like lean into it. I just lean into it and I just embrace the awkwardness.
I don't know. I feel like I'm sort of like an open book. Uh, okay, maybe one thing that people don't know, I recently have become obsessed with K-pop music.
Have you really?
Yes.
Okay.
And
What is it about it? Why?
I feel like there is a level, and maybe it's because I'm a classical dancer,
Uh-huh.
there is this extreme precision to their dancing
Uh-huh.
and
Mm.
their unison and I love musicality. If you are musical, I think that it allows whatever you're doing to read even more. And these kids, I mean, they're like babies. are hitting it on the music. I'm like obsessed. I went down a dark hole of YouTube the other day. Like I'm obsessed with like K-pop. Like, I mean, still loyal Beyonce stan, but you know.
Well, I have to admit I'm a little bit addicted to TikTok, and I'm not in the age category, but it's just mindful. I mean, the mindless entertainment for me. And I ran across this group of Korean gospel singers.
Okay.
Like I was blown away. So there's some.
You should check out. There's an account called the Fashion Grannies, and
I've seen them. I've seen them.
They are fabulous.
All right. Speaking of fashion, what is a trend that you will never wear, ever, 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 ever?
I don't know. Like for me, I've always sort of like said like never say never when it comes to trends, because like I just feel like it'll come back.
Okay.
And like, you know, there's a way to like rework something. But right now, if I had to I don't know, like if I had to something that I would never ever wear, I probably like thong sandals. Like in public.
Flip flops?
Like in public. Yeah, like
flip flops?
Like the flip flop, yeah. Where the thing goes in between your it's like I probably wouldn't wear those. I mean
Okay. All right, that's fair. Harper?
Maybe it's because I have to wear very tight clothing a lot for my work, but I don't think I can do those spray-on skinny jeans. I can do a skinny jean, but the ones where it's like skin, no.
Okay, it's too much like work.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I need a little bit of movement, and if I feel like I'm like, you know, it's too much.
They got pretty severe for a minute there, probably circa 2009-ish.
Sure.
Yeah.
They kicked it up.
A little flare at the bottom, or just a little opening, or like a little room around the calf. But if it looks like a legging, wear the legging, you know?
Yeah, I got it. All right, you know, it's interesting that we're out of time, and it's amazing that we've been talking. It goes by so fast. And so I want to thank Harper Watters with Houston Ballet soloist and social media star, and Kenneth Nicholson, CFDA nominated fashion designer, filmmaker from Houston. Harper is honorary Houstonian. And thank you. This is the Joy Hour. And I have one last question. What brings you joy?
God brings me joy.
Okay.
I would say self-expression gives me joy.
That's fantastic. All right. So if someone wants to follow you, connect with you, what's the best way?
Type in Harper in Google. No, I'm kidding. V Harper Watters on Instagram and on TikTok, and but yeah, just Harper Watters on Google, and it'll give you everything you want.
Okay. We can't take him nowhere. Okay, so for Instagram, for me, it's Kenneth.Nicholson, and then the YouTube channel, I believe it's just simply Kenneth Nicholson, I believe.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for taking time out on this Sunday afternoon to talk about life, love, and everything else during this pandemic time. So thank you. Oh, you took a picture. Look at you.
I did the picture.
You have to text me that one, please.
Bye, you all.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.